Princeton, Indiana is a small town in rural southwest Indiana that once hosted the Chicago and Eastern Illinois and the Southern Railway. Today, CSX runs the rails of the former Chicago and Eastern Illinois, and Norfolk Southern runs the former Southern Railway trackage. CSX's CE&D Sub stretches between Evansville, Indiana and Chicago, Illinois via trackage rides on the UP at Woodland Junction. Norfolk Southern's Southern East District runs between Louisville, Kentucky and East St. Louis, Illinois. In this video, I'll be showing you various trains in Princeton as well as other locations along the former Chicago and Eastern Illinois on St. Patrick's Day. On this lucky day, we managed to hit the jackpot with 16 trains, but only managed to tape 10. So sit back, relax, and let's notch it up and see what we caught. Up first is the G530 as it makes its way south into Princeton, with ex-Conrail C40-8W 7382 leading, and one of CSX's new boxcar logo ES44AH's number 977 trailing. Also note, CSX's main line is to the right, and NS's main line is to the left. G530-16 is an Olney, Illinois to Talladega, Alabama grain train that loads a consolidated grain and barge just south of downtown Olney. This train starts on CSX's ex-Baltimore and Ohio Illinois Sub and heads west to take the turn at Vincennes, Indiana, where it continues south on the CE&D Sub. Not long after G530 clears the interlocking at Southern Crossing onto Main 1, K476 makes its way north past the Southern Railway Princeton Depot, with a Union Pacific C4460 AC leading. K47610 is an empty ethanol train from Winter Haven, Florida to Proviso, Illinois. This train is interchanged by Florida Midland Railroad in Winter Haven, where it is taken north on CSX to Proviso, where it is handed off to the UP. Following K476 is the Q204 with an SD50 and SD40-2 on the point. Listen to that legendary sound that makes Nathan K5LA so well known as it echoes through Princeton. Q204-16 is an autorack train from Louisville, Kentucky to East St. Louis, Illinois. Q204 comes out of Louisville taking CSX's Texas Sub to Henderson, Kentucky, where it funnels into the Henderson Sub and turns into the Evansville Terminal Sub, and recrews at CSX's Howell Yard in Evansville, Indiana. This train continues north of Vincennes and takes the turn onto the B&O, where it continues west to East St. Louis to the Alton and Southern Railway. Shortly after Q204 leaves Princeton, NS-112 slowly comes through town on its way to St. Louis. '112 is a mixed manifest train from Knoxville, Tennessee to Kansas City, Missouri. This train works Norfolk Southern's Princeton Yard, which is just a few blocks away from the depot. Norfolk Southern also has a 25 mph speed restriction through town, as opposed to CSX's 40 mph through Princeton. After the 112 clears town, we'll move north of the depot to see a very rare and first-time occurrence here in Princeton. This is the train that has been stirring a lot of talk all day, the V583. The V583-17 is a coal train that comes off of the Indiana Railroad in Sullivan, Indiana, and goes south to Alliance Coal Loadout in Princeton. Once loaded, it will head back north to its home tracks in Sullivan and head west for Merrim Generating Station in Merrim, Indiana. The other rare and interesting thing about this train is Indiana Railroad's 25th Anniversary Heritage Unit, INRD 9025, which is leading the train along with 9006. The CSX crew will put the power on the other end when they return north. With the southbound approaching, I took a great opportunity to set up for an interesting meet between V583 and the southbound. G570-16 is a loaded grain train from Emporia, Indiana to Mobile, Alabama. The train is loaded on CSX's ex-New York Central Emporia branch and brought back to South Anderson Yard in Anderson, Indiana. From there, crews take it to Avon, where it is handed off to the West crews, and recruit again at Terre Haute at Haley. The train then diverges onto the CE&D Sub and heads for Mobile. Note the new hoppers sporting the new boxcar logo. As we watch G570 round a turn into Princeton, we'll take a closer look at Indiana Railroad 9025 and enjoy the sounds of EMD's 710s. Unfortunately, during the loading process, an accident occurred which resulted in a car being overloaded and put 10 feet of coal on the ground, which resulted in V583 heading north early the next morning. We moved just a tad north to the closest road crossing where Q124 pushes north to Chicago. Q124-16 is an intermodal train from Jacksonville, Florida to Chicago, Illinois' 59th Street Yard. Fortunately for this train, Q124 kept its symbol despite others being renumbered last year. The track closest to us is Alliance Siding, which is 7,200 feet long, and the track on the far side is Gibson Siding, which is a small length of 5,280 feet. Q124 moved north, we made our way north to the south end of Hazleton Siding, where we caught the Q647 rounding the curve out of the small town of Hazleton. Q647-17 is an interchanged manifest and potash train from Chicago, Illinois off of the Belt Railway of Chicago to Waycross, Georgia. This train originally comes from the Canadian Pacific and is transferred to the CSX under Indiana Railroad's share of the haulage rates. Before abandoning its rails to Bedford, Indiana Railroad originally went to Louisville with this train down CSX's Hoosier Sub, which could possibly be abandoned in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Also, this train was originally S647 out of Chicago, but switched symbols and power at Danville, Illinois, which we will see later on. Pushing north, we catch Q514 with a friendly crew at the control point known as South Hazleton Y at the north end of Hazleton Siding. Q514-17 is a mixed manifest train from Nashville, Tennessee to Indianapolis, Indiana. This train will continue north to Terre Haute, where it will go on to CSX's former Conrail St. Louis line, continue east to Avon Big 4 Yard. Lastly, with storms hovering to the northeast, we move to Mays Road, which is north of the little town of Decker, to see S647 at the north end of Decker Siding. S647-17 is the second section of Q647 from Chicago, Illinois to Waycross, Georgia. This train and its other section raised some interesting controversy due to the power and symbol switch at Danville, Illinois. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and tune back next time for more train action across Indiana.